The neurobiological mechanisms underlying sugar's powerful grip on human behavior reveal striking parallels with substance addiction, though the addiction label remains scientifically contentious. Understanding how sugar hijacks reward circuitry illuminates both why reduction proves so difficult and which strategies may overcome these neurological challenges. The mesolimbic dopamine system, often called the brain's reward pathway, evolved to reinforce behaviors promoting survival and reproduction. When humans encounter sugar, particularly in concentrated forms absent from ancestral diets, dopamine neurons in the ventral tegmental area rapidly increase firing, releasing dopamine in the nucleus accumbens and prefrontal cortex. This dopamine surge creates the subjective experience of pleasure and motivation to repeat the behavior, a mechanism that once helped ancestors seek calorie-dense foods, but now drives overconsumption in food-abundant environments. Neuroimaging studies using functional MRI and PET scanning demonstrate that consuming sugar activates the same reward regions activated by cocaine, amphetamines, and other addictive drugs. The similarity extends beyond mere anatomical overlap. Repeated sugar exposure produces neuroadaptive changes including receptor downregulation, altered dopamine transporter function, and modified opioid signaling that characterize addiction neurobiology. These adaptations create tolerance, wherein previously satisfying sugar amounts no longer produce equivalent pleasure, driving increased consumption to achieve the same rewarding experience. Animal models provide the most direct evidence of addiction-like phenomena. Rats given intermittent access to sugar solutions develop behavioral patterns including binge consumption, escalating intake, withdrawal symptoms when sugar access is removed, and intense motivation to obtain sugar even when paired with aversive stimuli like mild electric shocks. These animals show cross-sensitization with drugs of abuse, meaning prior sugar exposure amplifies response to amphetamines and vice versa, suggesting shared neurobiological mechanisms. The withdrawal dimension deserves particular attention. Individuals attempting to eliminate or substantially reduce sugar intake frequently report symptoms including intense cravings, irritability, anxiety, difficulty concentrating, and headaches, a constellation resembling substance withdrawal. These symptoms typically peak within 3 to 5 days of sugar reduction and gradually resolve over 2 to 3 weeks as neurochemistry reequilibrates. The neurobiological basis involves not only dopamine system readjustment, but also endogenous opioid and serotonin system changes, as sugar consumption influences these neurotransmitter systems beyond dopamine alone. However, the addiction framing faces valid critiques. Unlike classic drugs of abuse, sugar does not produce the severe life disruption, compulsive use despite catastrophic consequences, or mortality rates characterizing substance addiction. Food serves necessary biological functions that drugs do not, complicating addiction comparisons. Some researchers argue that behavioral addiction, or problematic consumption, more accurately describes the phenomenon than clinical addiction. Regardless of terminology, the practical implications for individuals seeking to reduce sugar consumption remain clear. Strategies effective for managing substance addiction show promise for sugar reduction. Gradual tapering rather than abrupt cessation minimizes withdrawal symptoms and improves long-term success rates. Identifying and modifying trigger situations where sugar consumption typically occurs, such as afternoon energy dips, emotional stress, or social gatherings, helps break conditioned associations. Finding alternative rewards that provide dopaminergic satisfaction without sugar, including exercise, social connection, or engaging activities, addresses the underlying reward deficit driving consumption. The role of stress and negative emotion requires emphasis. Sugar consumption provides genuine, though temporary, mood improvement through both dopaminergic reward and serotonergic effects. Individuals using sugar to manage stress, anxiety, or depression face particular challenges reducing intake unless they develop alternative coping mechanisms. Addressing underlying emotional difficulties through therapy, stress management training, or treating mood disorders often proves necessary for sustainable dietary change. Warning: the addiction framework should not excuse personal responsibility or suggest helplessness before sugar's effects. While neurobiological factors make reduction challenging, effective strategies exist, and most individuals can successfully modify consumption with appropriate support and planning. Conversely, the framework should not minimize the genuine difficulty many people experience or frame sugar reduction as simply requiring greater willpower. Acknowledging both the real neurobiological challenges and the capacity for behavior change through structured approaches offers the most balanced and empowering perspective.